legal department. This should be done even if the individual is disfellowshipped or is in prison and has transferred from another facility or is released. And then it says, if the individual is disfellowshipped and living within the congregation's territory, the elders should list that address on the appropriate congregation territory card as a do not call. So rather than warn all parents, look, we have a disfellowshipped pedophile living on our territory, whatever you do, don't let your kids go to this address. Instead, it's just a matter of, oh, well, let's make it a do not call. Now, if you're watching this video and you've never been a witness, let me just explain that a do not call is literally just a house that you are marked to not call at, perhaps because the individual has said they don't want to be bothered by witnesses again. So all witnesses have a list for each street of numbers that they're not allowed to call at. Now, the problem with this list is that it takes very little when you are working the streets to just get distracted. Maybe you're intensely occupied in a conversation and forget what the do not calls are. And it happens all the time. It happened to me all the time, and I was aware of it happening to others all the time. That you just get distracted, you get into the flow, you get into the routine, and before you know it, you've called on a do not call. Well, just imagine if it was a child and a witness, and they were blindsided, they forgot it was a do not call, and they get invited in. You can imagine all sorts of ways that this can go wrong. But again, it's an example of enormous naivety on the part of Watchtower, that they feel they can just remote control the situation by saying things like, oh, we'll just make sure it's a do not call. And then in the next paragraph, paragraph 23, it says similarly, notification by secular authorities. From time to time, secular authorities may inform the elders that a sex offender is living in the area. The notice may provide the address of the individual and may state the nature of his criminal activity. In such a case, the elders should list that address on the appropriate congregation territory card as a do not call. So again, unbelievable naivety. The do not call system, which is basically, it was designed to stop witnesses from harassing members of the public who felt strongly against having witnesses call on them. That's why the do not call system was introduced, and now it's basically being used to shelter young witnesses from pedophiles. Paragraph 26 is titled Notations in the Shepherding Textbook, and it basically has a list of all the places in the Shepherd book where elders are supposed to say, refer to this letter. But I found it interesting that at the end it said, in addition, each elder should cross out chapter 12, paragraphs 20 to 21. So elders are actually being asked to cross out completely 2 paragraphs from chapter 12. And those paragraphs are, if you remember, I was talking before about the situation where a pedophile moves from congregation A to congregation B. And it used to be that elders could have a little bit of initiative in warning the next congregation, but now they have to do everything through the service desk. Well, that's changed, and because that's changed, elders now have to cross out those 2 paragraphs. And it just makes you think, well, you know, this thing was published in 2010, and we're now in 2016, and we're already in a situation where entire paragraphs of this thing are getting crossed out. What's the point of having it? You know, if the directions to elders can be out of date so quickly, you might as well just have everything going off letters, because clearly the faithful and discreet slave's direction is so temporary that it doesn't stand the test of time. And finally, paragraph 27, it concludes, it is imperative to adhere to the direction in this letter each time a matter involving child abuse comes to your attention. This will serve to uphold the sanctity of Jehovah's name to protect minors. Your full cooperation with this direction is appreciated. May Jehovah grant you knowledge, wisdom, and discernment as you care for this and other weighty matters in connection with the flock of God entrusted to your care, your brothers, Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. So, I've breezed through it and read the parts that are of most interest to me. Probably when you read it, you'll find other things that interest you or disturb you. I guess the main takeaway, and I've kept saying it as I've been reading it, is it's a missed opportunity. This would have been the letter where Watchtower finally said, or it could have been the letter where Watchtower finally said, listen, when you hear of the crime of child abuse, notify the authorities in the same way as you would notify the authorities if you heard of the crime of murder. That's how you're to treat child abuse. Ring the service desk, ring the legal desk if you want advice on how to implement what the authorities tell you, or how the authorities, respond to the situation. But it's them who should investigate, who should establish whether it's happened or not. That isn't absolutely not what this letter says. Instead, everything is micromanaged by the service desk. The only, if I was to be positive and look for a good development in this letter, it would be the paragraph that talks about privileges. Again, it's not as watertight as it should be. It does still slightly leave the door open for someone to potentially have privileges in the future if it happened decades and decades and decades ago. But if I were an elder reading that, I would be thinking, well, there you have it. Someone who's molested a child can't have privileges in the future. And again, it mentioned the scripture in Timothy about not laying your hands on someone hastily. So that, I think, let's give credit where credit's due. That, I think, is a positive element from the letter. But apart from that, even though it doesn't expressly mention the two-witness rule, that's basically more for political reasons. It does still have hints to the two-witness rule. The fingerprints of the two-witness rule are on this letter, and that's demonstrated by the fact that it tells elders to refer to chapter 5 as the ultimate authority. And as I've shown you, chapter 5 is where that horrendous paragraph is found, telling elders to leave matters in Jehovah's hands if there isn't a second witness. So again, missed opportunity to bring Watchtower's child abuse policies in line with modern understanding about pedophilia and about the risks that are posed when you fail to report as a matter of urgency when a child is molested. And it's sad. I'm genuinely saddened by this. I would have loved, when I saw this letter come up in my inbox, because it was emailed to me, when I saw this letter come up, I was thinking, is this the letter? Is this the letter where they finally get it? And no, I'm sorry, it isn't. And as much as I would like to just drop it and say, oh, well, we tried, this is affecting people's lives. There are children who will be molested because of the failure to address the problems in this letter. Make no mistake about that. When you look at the kind of numbers that were discussed at the Australian Royal Commission, the fact that in 50 years, 1,006 pedophiles were recorded on Watchtower's books, that's the kind of rate that we're talking about. And I did my breakdown of numbers in my video to show you how that number only goes up the more Jehovah's Witnesses there are over time. So this is a very, very urgent problem, and Watchtower isn't doing enough. They're just not doing enough. So please download the letter yourself and make of it what you will, but those are my thoughts on it. I'm now going to get back to writing my book, but I understand there will be an article about this on JW Survey by Covert Fade, so look out for that. Apart from that, I hope you have found this video interesting, and as always, thank you for watching.
Yeah, Dr. Jason Morrison, theologist again. I just want to say thank you for watching the videos, and I hope you got plenty of self-rediscovery and freedom out of it. If you watched it on YouTube, please share or like, maybe even comment. If you watched it on Facebook, like, comment, share. But most of all, get out and live. This isn't a rehearsal. You've got a one-off life. Don't let your loyalty and your faithfulness blind you to the life that you should be experiencing. Till the next video, thank you for watching, and bye for now.